So between the time that I sold my 2022 Model 3 Performance and picked up my new 2024 Model 3 Performance refresh, I went back to gas. It was about a 2-week period, and during that time, it really made me think back to when I first transitioned from an EV and the things I wish I had known as a new owner. First up, locking and unlocking. Teslas do not have traditional door handles or keys, so it's probably not too surprising. This is where a lot of people actually get stuck. The door handle is very simple. You just push on the fat part and then grab the skinny part. Whatever side of the car you're trying to access, use that hand. So if you're trying to get in on the left-hand side, well then use your left hand. Right side, right hand. Push with your thumb and then pull with your other fingers. Very simple and pretty intuitive once you get it down. For the keys, well, you actually have two. The first, and what you will use 99% of the time, your phone. Just have the Tesla app downloaded, log in, and select the phone key option. Follow the instructions on your phone, and now when you walk up to the car, it will be able to sense your phone and auto unlock once you grab the handle. As for locking, assuming you have walk-away door lock enabled in the settings, you just walk away. Once you're 10 to 20 feet away, you will hear the lock sound and see the mirrors fold. Your second key, the key card, which actually tells you how to lock and unlock right there on the key card, but most people don't actually look. You just tap the B pillar. This locks and unlocks. Now, I also want to talk about the interior door handles because a lot of people get this wrong. You press the button to open the door. This button actually has a little graphic of the door being ajar. You do not pull the latch. This latch is an emergency latch and it can damage your window. So many people were actually getting this wrong, mainly first-time passengers, that Tesla put out a software update that rolls the window down slightly when the latch is pulled to try and minimize potential damage. The same buttons can also be found in the rear, and if you're in a new 3, you do have an emergency latch. Just reach down into the little cubby area and pull up a cover. From there, you'll see a little string looking lanyard, and you can just pull that to open the door. And finally, you can remote lock and unlock via the app. Starting, driving, and turning off the vehicle. If this is your first time in a Tesla, you're probably wondering how you turn this thing on. And well, you don't. It's kind of always on. Your butt in the seat and your foot on the brake is what allows the car to be put into drive or any gear really. So you could think of that as the key in the ignition. If you have your phone key set up, that's all you gotta do. Now pull down on the stock to go into drive, up for reverse, and the button on the end for park. Or if you're in a refresh 3, it's done on the screen. So swipe forward to go forward, back to go back, and pressing the P will put you in park. Sometimes it'll actually have you hold the P, and if you undo your seatbelt once you're stopped, it should auto put you into park. Also, there are backup buttons on top if something were to ever happen to your screen. If you don't have a phone key set up, you will need to place the key card right behind the cup holders. For the refresh 3, this spot has been moved to the wireless chargers. As for turning the car off, well, like I said, it's always kind of on. It just really goes to sleep, which actually there's been an update now that will tell you via the app how long your car has been sleeping for. You just get out and walk away. Dock organization. Press the 3 dots at the bottom of the screen and push and hold on the apps. It works very much like reorganizing your phone's home screen. You can drag any apps to the bottom, which will pin them, but I would recommend the following. Your music or podcast app of choice. Also, make sure you get signed in so you're not trying to sign in while you're driving. Cameras for quickly being able to see what's around you, though if you are in a refresh 3, then there is a button on the wheel for your camera. Dash cam, as pressing it while in drive will save the last 10 minutes to your USB stick within the glove box. This can be a lifesaver in the event of an accident. Just make sure you actually press it after the accident has occurred. And lastly, your seat controls for heating and or ventilation if you're in a new 3. You actually don't need to take up one of your, I believe it's a 5 app limit down in your dock for these, as they have their own separate spot. So just make sure you put them in that spot. Next up, accessories. I mean, you just spent 40 to 50,000 on a car. You should probably get some stuff that's going to protect it. I recommend screen protectors and all-weather floor mats to start. part. It's an EV, so you have a ton more center console storage area space, so some organizers would also be good. If you like your phone being propped up and visible, then maybe a little dash phone holder as well. If you have an old 3 or current Y and you're wanting that new 3 feel, you can look at picking up a dash light strip as well. I had this one in my old 3 and it was great. I'll have all the accessories I used linked below, and you can use code YouTube, all caps, for 10% off your entire purchase at Test Stuff. And the last thing to know before you start driving, steering and pedals, or dynamics. It could be called dynamics in your car. Here you can change your steering, acceleration, along with region strength, stopping mode, and even auto shifting depending on the model. All models will have access to steering and acceleration. Acceleration is very self-explanatory. Chill mode is slow, standard is not so slow, and then if you have sport or insane, then that's your fast one. Steering will determine how much slack and heaviness is in the wheel. So if you don't want it to be as responsive or just less heavy, then go with the lowest tier. If you want it to be more responsive and heavier, go with the highest tier. If you are able to change your region, strength, and or stopping mode, I would recommend you put it on hold and then the max amount of region. This will enable true one pedal driving, which is one of the best things about owning a Tesla. As for auto shift, this is only available for the Refresh 3, and it will try to predict which way you want to go based on how you got to where you were and also your surroundings. I've only ever had this mess up a few times, but none of the times that it messed up were like oh my God, had I not been paying attention, it would have crashed. They were more of I pulled in somewhere and the car that was parked in front of me is no longer there. So now I want to go forward, but because I pulled in, the car thinks I want to go in reverse. Yeah, I personally really like it, but just make sure you always double check. And it's very easy to tell what the car is predicting via the screen. And of course, you can just override it by swiping. Now for actually driving, and the only real difference versus an ICE car is the region. Unlike a traditional gas car, when you let off the accelerator, the car will actually start slowing you down. It's called region for a reason. It's putting that energy that would have been wasted via heat through your brakes back into the battery. Region can be a little weird at first, and it can be somewhat difficult to explain if you've never experienced it. The best way I can describe how to use it is, instead of trying to perfectly time when to fully let off so you stop at a certain point, let off early and use the accelerator to feather your way up to where you need to stop. Even after 3 years and having a really good gauge on when to fully let off so I stop right where I want to, I still use this let off early and feather method pretty much on a daily basis. Region really only takes a few days to get used to and like a month to master. You get used to it really, really quickly. Now, the only other difference with driving versus ICE is, well, not driving or autopilot. There are 3 levels of Tesla's autonomous driving. The first 2, traffic aware cruise control and auto steer, everyone has access to. It's free with your car. The last one, full self-driving, in parentheses supervised, is a $99 per month subscription or $8,000 for a lifetime unlock. Traffic aware cruise control is just that. It's a cruise control that is traffic aware. It will slow down and speed up depending on the car in front of you. Selecting auto steer is the same as traffic aware cruise control, but now, as the name suggests, it will also auto steer for you to a certain degree. It will really only stay in its lane following lines. Also, while it can be used on city streets, it's really only good for the interstate. And it doesn't make like turns or stop for lights or anything like that. Having auto steer on is what Tesla considers autopilot. As for full self-driving, well, that is a completely different beast, and it can make turns, stop for lights and stop signs, navigate windy roads a lot better compared to its autopilot counterpart, etc. At least theoretically, it can do all that stuff. It really depends on where you live. Tesla includes a 30-day free trial with every car purchase, so you can try it before you buy it. Now, you turn Autopilot or FSD, depending on which one you have enabled, on the same way. Pulling the gear selector stalk down twice in rapid succession, once if you have the setting enabled, and for the Refresh 3 by pressing in on the right scroll wheel. You'll hear a double ding and the car will take over. Once you have enabled Autopilot or full self-driving, the car will ask you to keep a hand on the wheel and periodically apply pressure just so it knows that you're there. Tesla is actually rolling out an update that allows you to go hands-free, and it uses the interior cabin camera to make sure that your eyes are on the road, but at the time of making this video, only like a few people have it. Also, not to mention, apparently you can't use sunglasses with it, and I'm a big sunglasses wearer, so I won't be using that pretty much at all. But yeah, that's all there really is to it. As for disengaging, pushing up on the stock or pressing the scroll wheel button in a new 3 will disengage along with pressing the brake. If you have double pull on instead of single pull, turning the wheel enough to brake out will disable the auto steering but keep the traffic aware cruise control enabled, so please be mindful of that. The beeps that the car makes for full disengagement versus only disengaging auto steer are different. You'll be able to hear it. And then the last thing to know for new Tesla owners, charging, which I have actually done 2 entire videos on. One for home charging and the other one for owning a Tesla without home charging. But the must-knows that I'll include in this video are, as long as you have the trip planner setting enabled, the car will auto route you to superchargers along your route if it sees you will need to charge to make it, so you don't got to do any of that calculation yourself. To manually look for a supercharger, just press the lightning bolt icon on the map. If it's not showing up, tap the map and then it should show up, and then you can press it. Now, once you're at a supercharger, all you got to do is just get out and plug in. There's actually a little chip in the handle that will communicate with the car port door that will open it up. So just press that little button. You can also just press the actual port on the car to open it up. If you're wondering how you pay, the supercharger and car communicate with one another, and it knows it's your car, which is linked to your account, and will charge whatever payment method you have connected to your Tesla account. So you never have to pull out a card or cash or try to use one of those touch screens that's been outside that suck. I think we all know what I'm talking about. And your payment method can be changed pretty easily via the app. You just go in, click on your account, and then click on payment method. Like I said, if you do want more information on home charging and owning a Tesla without home charging, then you can find those videos here on the channel, and I'll also have them linked down below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you are new around here and you do want to see more Tesla related stuff in your YouTube feed, then feel free to subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.